Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they that have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments. For such as in their life have received benefits, and have not known me, and they that have loathed my law, while they had yet liberty, and when yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it, the same must know it after death by pain. 2 Ezra chapter 9, verse 9 to 12. Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakah Kodash. Double honors to our venerable apostles and elders and bishops of Great Millstone on down. And peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. All right, so Brother Haran coming back at you with another lesson. Lord willing to be edifying and uplifting onto the elect. And I have another article here, all right, in the midst of all the things that's going on, all right, geopolitically, all right, as we see the beginning stages of World War III, we have many different prophecies that is yet to also take place. And you could see almost like a domino effect, one thing that leads to the next, one thing that leads to another, and the other is always more painful than the one that was before. Okay. And of course, even though you have things that's going on outside of America, the prophets, starting from my elders and apostles of Great Millstone on down, been telling you that all these things that you may see overseas, all right, see overseas, is coming here to America domestically. Okay. And it's been on the books for years. This is all part of the agenda of the destruction of America, Babylon the Great. Okay, these elites don't even know that they're working for the Lord on the left-hand side. They don't even know that. Okay, but we're here to tell them that everything they're doing is leading to the end of America as you know it. Okay, so the title of this article here says, Famine incoming, about 1/4 of all global traded nitrogen. About 1/4 of all globally traded nitrogen fertilizer normally travels through the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. So it says, if the war with Iran persists for an extended period of time, a lot of people could literally starve. It says approximately half of all global food production is dependent on the use of fertilizer without, it says it is dependent. Okay. Approximately half of all global food production is dependent on the use of fertilizer. Without fertilizer, crop yields would drop precipitously, and there wouldn't be anywhere near enough food for everyone. And I remember it was about 3-4 years ago, the UN came out and said that there was going to be a global famine that's going to be like 50-year famine, right? It's an equivalent of a 50-year famine. That's how bad this famine is going to be. Okay, so this was like 3-4 years ago, right? Matter of fact, let me see here if I could find it. UN predicts 50-year famine. Oh shit! So this was more than 3 years ago. So this is back in 2020. It says world faces worst food crisis for at least 50 years. The UN warned. Okay, so I just want to read that headline there. But this is what was being said. Okay, back 6 years ago now. Okay, so let's go back to the article here. It says here. It says even now, right? Hundreds of millions of people are going to bed hungry every night, and there are severe food shortages in quite a few African nations. This is a trend, and yeah, I remember last year, because of some weather related issues, you had even countries like Nigeria, right? You had a lot of women that would go to the farm and so on and so forth. They were saying that the constellation, right? The way the seasons are moving, the seasons are all messed up. It's messing up their crop, their yield and so on and so forth. So that was a problem there. And then I believe there was another natural disaster that had happened in, I want to say India. And that was also causing some type of famine out there. And even the production of rice was being affected by this. So they were saying that that problem that they were having, that was a year ago. They said the world isn't gonna feel that effect till a year or two after. Okay, because it's a supply chain, right? So we're gonna see, right? So continuing, it says here, this is a trend that I have been closely monitoring for quite some time. We are at a very serious tipping point, and approximately one fourth of all globally traded nitrogen fertilizer normally travels through the Strait of Hormuz, and that's been closed. Okay, it says if we can't get that fertilizer into the hands of those that need it, we are going to have a major crisis on our hands, and that's all done by design. Okay, the food shortages, the energy crisis, okay, job loss, okay, war on every side, right? Because remember last year, December 25th, so-called Christmas Day, this damn devil DJ Trump dropped bombs in Nigeria, okay, right on Christmas Day, in the name of we're saving the Christians from what I think it was like a Muslim group or something that they were saying that they were going around wilding out and shit like that. It's a terrorist group, okay? And we know that terrorist groups don't just formulate on their own. They're created by somebody, an entity, to perform certain things, to be used as a proxy army. ISIS, Al Qaeda, Hamas, they're all created by the same entities, man. Okay, Mossad, MI6, right? You got the CIA. Okay, these are all so-called secret intelligence agencies that create these entities, and they use them as proxy armies to go out there and foment certain agendas, whether it be to topple a government or to create a real hostile situation for them to be justified in bringing in some form of order. Nonetheless, this is what they do. Okay, but if you were to leave the world alone, ain't nobody gonna be grouping up, being on some terroristic shit, because those things don't happen until these devils want something to happen. You're not just going to randomly just hear, oh, Hamas just attacked somebody, like they just went to Africa to go take freaking gold from Ghana or some shit. You're not going to hear that. But if it was to fulfill an agenda, you damn right, Hamas going to go into Ghana, go steal some gold, and it's going to prompt for the U.S. to go in there and save Ghana type shit. That's what they always do. Okay. So continuing, it says here, at this moment, traffic through the Strait of Hormuz has essentially been paralyzed. Okay, at least 200 ships, including oil and liquefied natural gas tankers, as well as cargo ships, remained at anchor in open waters off the coast of major Gulf producers, including Iraq, Saudi Arabia, and Qatar. According to Reuters, estimates based on ship tracking data from the marine traffic platform. Hundreds of other vessels remained outside Hormuz, unable to reach ports, shipping data showed. The waterway is a key artery for around a fifth of the world's oil and LGN supply. Okay? And LGN is liquid natural gas, if I'm not mistaken. All right, it says, hardly anything is getting through, and it is likely to remain that way for quite a while, because the Iranians have already damaged a significant number of commercial vessels. And you see how they let's just keep going. It says this is something that is not getting nearly enough attention from the mainstream media. The latest vessel, and they're not going to give you attention, because then people are going to start panicking. That's the last thing they want. No government wants their people to panic. That's why they have propaganda. Okay? That's why there's wartime propaganda. But you know what? It's making it hard for them. The truth is making it hard for them. Okay? People, whether it be, independent journalists or whatever the case may be, they're making it hard for these devils to operate in the dark like they always do. That's why they have to do everything openly now and hope that their witchcraft of propaganda and media and the lies will work. But it's not working. Everyone sees what's going on. The whole world is against America and Israel right now. I mean, yesterday you had a former Marine, all right, I believe it was a hearing, and he stood up and made a point and said, nobody wants to go to war for Israel. All this war that's going on started by Israel, and they need to go take care of this shit. America should not be getting involved in this. You know what happened to that guy? He got grabbed up, and I'm sure brothers and sisters, you've seen that video. He got grabbed up, literally forced out, abused, and then he got his arm broken. His left arm got broken, snapped in half. You could hear that shit just like that. I'm like, whoa. Now he's a Marine, a former Marine. And this is the undoing of America's so-called constitutional rights and all this extra shit. An American former Marine standing up and speaking against the things that's going on. And he gets grabbed up and gets his arm broken. Yep. So, hey, that should be a sign, man. And we always say, well, I always say, right, that you got these you cops out there, okay? I don't know if you know what your job is, but you so-called blue code niggas, you cops out there, you soldiers, you military men, all you do is you've sworn to pledge an oath to the Constitution, to defend the Constitution from enemies, both foreign and domestic. And yet you keep on wearing that badge, terrorizing the people that you're supposed to be serving and protecting. Okay? You got these cops. These cops have become trigger happy. They see people, especially if you're a Jake, because police force was created for slave patrol anyway. So we get it. We understand why you niggas were created. It's just like I say, the cops today is just modern day KKK. They just couldn't have the KKK niggas go out there, so they just put a fucking cop uniform on them, give them a cop car, and tell them, hey, do what you got to do. They'll take a Jake out in 2 seconds. Pop, 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 you out of there. And then tell you, stay on the ground, stop resisting. That's the modern day lynching. When a so-called black man just get killed by the cops. Okay? Sometimes it's like you just de-escalate and everything is good. But some of these Jakes, they be doing dumbass shit. So you see why they get blown away all the time. Okay? But you notice they don't do that shit they're not going to stop a Chinaman and then just blow him away. When was the last time you saw cops pull over a Chinaman? It's almost like they have immunity. The cops don't see them niggas. You know? I've never seen an Asian man getting pulled over or getting into some altercation with the cops. I've never seen it. It may be, but I don't see it. I've seen a Jewish person get pulled over by a cop before. I've seen that shit with the Toyota Sienna that they be driving and shit, them vans and shit. I've seen that. But Chinaman or Korean or something, you don't really see that, you know. But Jakes, yeah, you see that a lot. They be all in your cities. Wherever there's Jake heavily populated, there be mad cops all day, every day, everywhere. We run through the streets like nothing. Okay? But the point I was making is all you people that swore an oath to protect and serve, all right, the Constitution and the people, you're not doing that. Okay? You're not doing that. You're just saying, you're walking around, you wake up every day, grown ass man, wake up every day, put on that uniform, put a gun to your side, hop in a car, run around the streets thinking you have some type of powerful immunity. And all you do is just terrorize the community. Okay? Terrorize, and then talk about I'm obeying orders. Do you understand the position you're in? Do you understand what kind of responsibility that comes with? And your negligence going around I've seen videos where it's just sickening. And what they did to that Marine, I'm just following orders. You cops were the ones who grabbed that, you were supposed to stand with him and demand accountability from your president. Okay? That's what you people are supposed to be doing, but you're all dumbed down. So I get it. And this is, Americans deserve everything that's coming to them. Okay? They deserve everything that's coming to them. You go on some of these comment boards and the shit people be saying, you be like, yeah, these gotta be a bot, man. These gotta be bots. These people are not thinking. These gotta be bots. There's no way these people are saying all this shit. You see? And they have 2 eyes. They have 2 ears. You see? So this food shortage that's coming is great because all these people that support all this bullshit that's going on, they always have some type of, objection to truth. They're going to be the ones to suffer this. Okay? The reality to them is not real. It's just like, oh, whatever. You guys are just spewing hate. The reality check is coming and it's fast approaching. Okay? It says the latest vessel that was hit by Iran was a Malta-flagged container ship known as the Safine Prestige, right? It says a container ship was struck by a projectile while transiting the Strait of Hormuz north of Oman, Maritime Security Agency said. The United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations, UKMTO, an emergency linked to the UK military that monitors commercial shipping, said the vessel was sailing eastbound when it was hit by an unknown projectile just above the waterline. The strike caused a fire in the ship's engine room, UKMTO said, adding that no environmental impact had been reported. Maritime Security Agency Vanguard Tech identified the vessel as the Malta-flagged Container ship Safine Prestige. We have literally seen, oh, it says we have literally never seen anything like this before. Ooh, that's a nice one right there, because months ago we were saying through the Spirit that very soon the events that's going to be taking place upon the face of the earth, the only thing people are going to be saying is, we've never seen anything like this before, right? Because the scripture says a time like never before. When you have a time like never before, what makes it a time like never before is not just the time that you're in, but it's the events that's happening in that time, right? Never have we seen a whole entire global famine like the way it's about to happen, right? All at the same time. Okay, because again, it's a trickle down effect. If 1/4 or 1/5 of the global economy is affected by the Strait of Hormuz being closed down, it's a trickle down effect. Okay, how much more does it affect everything else? So what's going to happen even domestically is, even if you might still have product on the shelves right now and you can still place orders and so on and so forth, as the days and weeks go by, these products are diminishing. They're not being replenished, at least fast enough. Okay, they're going to be a lot more expensive, whatever is left, until it's completely depleted. There you go to the stores and it'll be empty. Okay, it'll be completely empty. Remember, a lot of these stores still haven't recovered from that so-called winter shit that the winter surge, I'm gonna call it, a couple of weeks ago, where they were like, oh, there's gonna be this crazy blizzard and and people were storming the stores and buying all kinds of shit. I was going to the store, man. Most of the shelves were empty. You go store to store to store to store. And when you go to a store that has shit in there, lines packed, just like that. It's like some big event about to happen. You see? But as the scripture says in 2nd Ezra, suddenly shall the storehouses be found empty. They're just going to go in there and then boom, just like that. Like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, verse 7. It says, alas, for that day is great. And that day is not talking about just one day. That day is talking about a time, right? A time period, right? It says, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. Okay, so a time of trouble that's never been, as written in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter. Okay, that's never been ever in human history. Okay, so think of all the atrocities, both documented and undocumented, that's ever happened. Okay, this time is going to be worse than that. this time is going to be worse than that. And you can imagine how it's going to be worse than that, because they have technology that they've never had before. And they've done pretty crazy things without this type of technology. So imagine what they're going to do with this technology, the AI and all this extra stuff, right? So a time like never before indeed. All right. But the key is the elect of the nation of Israel, Jacob, will be delivered. Okay. Thus saith the Lord. So it's already a done deal. If we see the trouble that has been prophesied to come, we're going to see the salvation that's also been prophesied to come. Okay. It says, for now, the second largest shipping company in the world has suspended all cargo bookings for the region. Okay. Obviously, the price of oil has gone up, and I believe that will go even higher. But what is going to mean for global food production could be of even greater importance. Farmers all over the Western Hemisphere are getting ready to plant, and it is being reported that close to 1/4 of globally traded nitrogen fertilizer normally travels through the Strait of Hormuz. Okay. Fertilizer prices are already exceptionally high even before this war erupted. Now there's going to be a scramble for whatever supplies are available, and prices are going to go even higher. One industry insider says that the timing of this war literally could not be worse. I honestly don't know how this is going to be fixed. If farmers don't get enough fertilizer, global food production could decline substantially in 2026. Okay? It says we really are in unprecedented territory, like a time like never before. Right? It says the farmers that are able to get their hands on sufficient supplies of fertilizer certainly are going to pay a lot more for it, because prices are already skyrocketing. Okay, so if the farmers are paying higher prices, they're going to have to charge higher prices for their product. Okay, like for example, like I have a butcher, not too far from where I'm at, that I normally go to for meats and stuff like that. And over the past few years, I've seen the prices going up. And he tells me he's not like, oh, something like, oh, it's just up, like you don't see the economy. No, he's like, hey man, like I'm trying to keep the prices as low as possible, but you know what I'm saying, I'm at the point where it's like I'm breaking even. You know what I'm saying? However much I'm investing in this process, I'm not even getting anything back. So I'm forced to have to push a little bit higher than, normal, just so I can keep the line going. He's like, yo, just to, process a cow, he's like, it used to be like, I think he's like $20 or some shit like that. Now he's like $80 to $100, and then he's like, oh, a few months after that, he said it went up like $800 to process one cow. I was like, God damn, nigga, what the fuck? Like, yo, you know what I'm saying? He's like, yeah, man, everything is super expensive right now. So he's even like thinking like, yo, should I even keep this shit up? I'm like, yeah, man, keep it up, man. Shit. You know what I'm saying? You don't see Gil Bates out here pouring mRNA in the meat in the grocery stores, bro. You know what I'm saying? Keep that shit open, bro. But yeah, man, it's just like everything is being affected. You're gonna have gas prices being messed up by this, medical supplies being affected by this, right? Just the food alone is going to be affected by this. Okay, mechanical cars, right? Everything. This is a shock to the supply chain. Okay, when you have ships, vessels, like as they say, being held up, you know what I'm saying? They can't go nowhere. You got oil price. I mean, damn, everything is just going to be hit by this. Okay, and that's what's going to be that shocker. Within a couple more weeks, you're going to see. It says, meanwhile, the closure of the Strait of Hormuz is also drying up natural gas prices in Europe and elsewhere, or everywhere else, right? Qatar, right, is normally one of the largest producers in the region. But now they have shut down production for at least a month, and they have declared force majeure on shipments of liquefied natural gas. Okay, so it's liquefied natural gas. Okay. Busy. Cool. It says, and force majeure is basically, let me see if I could pull it up real quick. I don't want to butcher that. Hold on 1 second here. I just want to pull it up here so you can, it just gives us a better understanding of what we're reading. So force majeure is a contractual clause freeing parties from liability due to extraordinary unforeseen events beyond their control, such as natural disasters, wars, or endemics. Okay, so typically, like, let's say, for example, like, you're supposed to go to work at a certain time, whatever. Some crazy shit happens, you can't go. Rather than you being penalized for it, maybe you get fined for not showing up or whatever the case may be. Those, normal things, procedures that will happen as a result of you not showing up, these are extenuating circumstances. Therefore, those penalties are going to be withheld, right? So you don't have to face that, that penalty, if you will. So it pretty much suspends, any obligation you may have for that time, right? So that's force majeure, right? So it says here, it says, we have never seen a supply shock of this magnitude. Once again, a time like never before. If this war keeps going for an extended period of time, this is just the beginning. All right. This is just the beginning. The beginning of what? The beginning of sorrows. Here in the Western world, food prices are likely to keep rising at a brisk pace. Right. But in impoverished nations, but that's what they teach. That's what they tell you. Brisk meaning slow. But the fact is, slow could turn into fast quick. Okay, when you boil in water, at first the boiling stage of turning it from whatever temperature to that boiling temperature, it takes a while. Once it starts boiling, you see those little bubbles popping up. It don't take long before you see them big bubbles, like the actual water bubbling to the point where it's about to go out of the pot. Okay, depending on how much you have in there, right? But it's not going to take long to go from turn the fire up to boiling point, right? When you have the kind of shit that's going on right now, and yeah, one Iranian they were interviewing, and they asked him like, "Oh, Americans are planning to bring boots to the ground. Are y'all gonna be prepared?" He said, "Hell yeah, we're gonna be prepared. Fuck you mean? Like we've been planning for this for a minute. We were hoping they'll do this shit. So it's gonna be very interesting. I think this whole bullshit that Hexeth talking about, we're gonna be raining on you. It's gonna be death and destruction every day, all throughout, until we say, we gonna take our foot off the gas. I think that's cap. I believe that's cap. All right, all that bravado that he's showing over there, that's cap. And him, Hexeth, I can't wait for the Lord to get, oof, man, the arrogance of that motherfucker, man. Anyway, it says, but in impoverished nations around the globe, things will be far worse, right? Third world countries and so on and so forth. So we could very well see the C-HIP come out very soon because, hey, you got global problems going on that's affecting the domestic. They got to make a change. They got to come up with something. This is a perfect opportunity for them to present you their solution, right? There's a problem. There's a huge problem, global problem. We need a global solution for this global problem. See? Shit, if this thing goes on by August, that's what, late summer into early fall. By August, you're going to be seeing huge changes. Banks, right? Government buildings, okay? Governments as a whole, all right? So we're going to see. It says if this war does not end soon, large numbers of people could end up dead as a result of the horrifying famine that is now looming. Okay, so just like we read in the book of 2nd Ezra, that you're going to have a lot of people who are going to suffer death. Okay, but the death is going to come by multiple ways. You have this right here. There's a book of 2nd Ezra. There's a book of 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Start off at verse 14 says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Okay, there's a world thing, it's a global thing. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Okay? It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power. Why is that? Because of that great destruction, that stress, that perplexity, okay, that anxiety, that trouble. All right, the plagues that the Lord is going to be hitting this place with, the famine, the sword, the destruction. Okay, these things is what's going to cause people to get into an uproar and start plotting against their governments because they're going to see what's going on. These governments are the ones causing all this shit. We could clearly see that Israel is a problem, but why is our government acting like Israel's the good guy when we could clearly see that they're the fucking bad guys? People are going to push back. Okay, second, what was that? Job, the 20th chapter. When he's about to fill his belly, the Most High is going to cast the wrath of his fury upon him, okay, while he's eating, okay? So, you know, that, hey, the scriptures tell you, again, Job 20 tells you what? That every hand of the wicked shall come upon him, okay? So people are going to push back against this so-called New World Order system, man, all right? And they're going to come down with drastic draconian measures to quell that uprising. Hence, verse 17, 2nd Ezra 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. When you have all hell breaking loose, right now as it stands, you have people right now in the western parts of Asia, all right, otherwise known as the Middle East, falsely known as the Middle East, where all this stuff that's going on, they're wishing they could come back to the U.S., but they can't. I heard they said over 1 million Americans are out there. Over 1 million people from Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. All right, they're caught out there and they want to come back home, but they can't. You see, they can't. So it's like you're going to escape that shit. Hopefully, you come back over here to America and it's going to get worse for you. See what I'm saying? It's that because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. Okay, it says here, and that's all going into the times that we're in. All right, a time of evil. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with a sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. Okay, so that's what this article is going into. Again, this is what Ezra saw. And we're living in the days that leads to how Ezra describes what he saw. Okay, we're going to be living those days, man. All right. So, yeah, man, this has been famine incoming. About 1/4 of all globally traded nitrogen fertilizer normally travels through the Strait of Hormuz, and it all has been halted. Okay, so what does that mean for America? What does that mean for the entire world in terms of food shortages? It's only a matter of time before we find out. But as prophecy states, there's going to be famines, and a lot of people going to die as a result of it. Okay. So anyway, I'm ended off there, Lord willing, you edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakodash, the water Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And until next time, Shalom.